once here.
Top right,
Can you hear me?
pop out. Right,
No, but someone has joined, so I'm trying to see.
right there. Pop
Yeah,
out.
but my whole thing is a volume. Like,
Not that one.
that's,
Top right.
can you hear me?
Go ahead and close. Pop out. Press it. So then that's your video.
This is your speaker.
Mhm.
Get rid of this one. Okay.
Maybe speaker for you or speaker
No, that's
for
the
you?
person that is the host or whatever.
Okay, okay. I would rather have a gallery view. Well, no, just go back right here. Yeah, to gallery view. Yeah. But can you put me on mute?
That's what I'm trying to do.
Hey, scholars, I'm happy to see all of you. I'm glad that you all made it. It seems as if no one has had any problems navigating this technology. Typically, it is us, the older folk, and so I'm glad that you remained undefeated for the young folk. As soon as Dr. Williams gets on, we'll come and go through a run of the show really quick, and then we'll get started. Really happy to have you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to also welcome Sydney. Sydney was on the original email thread, and for some reason, my email went into her box, her spam box. That may have been the case for some of you, certainly not Angelique's, as she's here at Wiley, and I think her box may be sensitive to mine. But I want to thank Sydney for following up. Sorry we didn't get a chance to get you out publicly, but folk will get to hear your brilliance on this podcast. So really happy. How you doing, Mr. Rogers?
Good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Just had a wonderful conversation with your president, Dr. Kim.
Yeah, I was watching. I saw it.
Oh, good. Good. Hey. Yeah, we're already having a conversation. We decided we were going to do it without you. No, I'm just kidding. Come on through. Follow through. All right. Bye. Angelique Cooper.
How you doing, President Filton?
I'm wonderful, sister. How about you?
I'm doing good.
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Did you get those Eagles in the mail yet?
I did.
Got your COVID
Thank
relief
you.
money?
Yes.
Good.
Glad to have it.
I'm glad that you have it as well. Hi, Sydney.
Hi, it's nice to see you all.
Likewise. There is Dr. Williams. So to give you guys an idea of the format here, fairly simple, fluid conversation. We really are interested in hearing from students. All we do on television, all we hear on television and news, media, and print is, what students are going to do. And I don't know if anyone who has exclaimed anything has been a student. So we thought it'd be great to have you talk about your shared experience. I know some of you have graduated and I know you are probably moving on, but I thought it would be interesting to have the incoming SGA presidents because they weren't leading at that particular time through COVID-19. So we thought it would be we thought it would be good to hear from you about how you worked with the administration. How did you get the thoughts and your honest opinions about if we were crazy or not when we said we're gonna have to close the campus? What were your thoughts? I know my students were not pleased, and I think as time progressed, they saw that it wasn't me. And it wasn't the administration, it was, a global pandemic, and that our safety is and was central to every decision that we made. So we're gonna play some music, bring in the show, and introduce you all. And and then get right into some questions.
Can you hear me well?
No, we can't.
Okay, good.
No, we can't.
Perfect. Where's my SGA president? Mr. Shaw?
Hey, Dr. Williams, how you doing?
Good.
Sydney
And
and Sydney and is it Trayon?
Braylon.
Traylon, your presidents were adamant that you were to be a part of this. All of your presidents are in a group chat. We're in a group chat together. And when we came up with the idea, Melvin and I, we threw it out to them, and your presidents responded immediately about having a very strong, if they had a strong leader who was articulate and who could put together a sentence. And your presidents were very adamant about that.
And
so
you know I wouldn't roll without my rider.
Yeah. I got mine with me too. So we know what time it is. So are y'all okay? Everybody got your Coca-Cola on the side, you got your chips, you got, everything, you got your beignets down in there in New Orleans. Y'all good? Everybody good?
Hurricane
Yeah.
for us.
Patrick, let me see you shake it out, brother. Them shoulders are like real tight. It feels like you're just a little nervous up in there, brother. You okay?
Is he freezing?
He freezing. Let's wait.
He's muted.
Yeah, let's wait till he gets that together.
Yeah. Ooh. And then please go ahead and send out a note to all of your followers. If you haven't done it already, that you're live, about to, are we live? We might be live now.
We are already live. Greg set us up.
Oh,
Hey,
Greg?
This is actually cool though. But I think as soon as Patrick comes on, we're going to get the party started when Patrick shows back up. Sydney, where are you now?
Still in Nashville. I didn't go back home.
Okay. So this was really interesting semester for you with the tornado and COVID, right?
Yeah, it was interesting to say the least.
Cool.
We got hit with the tornado while we were on spring break. So we came back to a little bit of devastation in the area, and then COVID hit. So it's just like we didn't have time to breathe between the two.
Yikes. Wow.
Double whammy.
Yeah.
Boy, I tell you.
Okay. Patrick, are you good?
Yeah, for a minute it was like a freeze, but I'm good now. Can you guys hear me clearly?
Yeah, we can.
yeah.
Here you go.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, let's go, Mr. President.
Can you get my water? You know I can't really read.
Welcome to Forethoughts of Our Founders, the podcast for the Higher Education Leadership Foundation. I'm Herman Felton, along with one of my partners in crime, Dr. Melva Christie Williams. Greg Dees is flying, not solo, but with us over in the corner. And Alfred Anthony Pinkard is managing Wilberforce University. We have some really special guests today. We have SGA presidents. Everybody's talking about what's going on in America and how students are going to respond. More importantly, pontificating about how they responded to COVID-19. We thought we'd bring it home by hearing from those who so many are speaking for. Have representatives from Fisk University, Southern University at New Orleans, Wiley College, and Dillard University. Want to welcome all of you here today. Welcome, everybody. How y'all doing?
I'm
Doing
great.
good.
Thank you for welcoming.
Everybody good?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to go around the block here, starting up top with the individual from Dillard University, and then we'll hit Wiley College, and then we'll hit Fisk University, and then we'll hit Southern University at New Orleans. Want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourselves. So, Mr. Rogers, the floor is yours, sir.
All right, thank you for the opportunity. First of all, my name is Traylon T. Rogers. I am I guess, a rising senior from Dallas, Texas, Urban Studies Public Policy major, and I am currently the 2019-2020 SGA president, as well as the 2020-2021 21 SGA president.
Oh wow, you did that.
Congratulations!
All right, 2 times,
Oh.
repeat.
Hi, my name is Angelique Cooper. I'm the 2019-2020 SGA president at Wiley College. I am a graduating, alumna now of Wiley College, and I have a degree in mass communications with a minor in computer information systems.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, way to go.
Hi, everybody.
Now.
I'm Sydney Patton from Fisk University. I serve as a 2019-2020 SGA president. I am also a graduate with a degree in psychology and also a degree in Spanish.
Awesome.
Yes, clap it up. Clap it up. Patrick?
Good evening. So I'm Patrick Shaw. I am the 2019-2020 Student Government Association president at Southern University, New Orleans. I am a senior double majoring psychology and education. It is an honor and a privilege to be before all of you and the guests. So I'm just ready to get it started. I'm excited.
We're happy to have you.
Good, good, good. So I will get started with our first question. And, for all of us administrators, we talked earlier today and yesterday about that first experience when you knew Corona was real, right? So we heard about it in the news, it was in the newspaper, and, I'm looking at Twitter and I'm seeing all of these comments. But at some point, it didn't seem like it was affecting me, being in an HBCU. But when did you know, or when did it hit real for you that, okay, this is hitting home and we are going to have to do something about this? So we'll start with Ms. Cooper.
I definitely knew it was real when we had the conversation in our chapel about potentially closing the institution. And being that it was my senior year and class of 2020, I knew that we wouldn't be returning back on campus. And so I definitely had some, initially me and my friends, we talked about, well, is this even a big deal? We definitely felt like we could have been overreacting, but thank God that President Felton made the decision that he made beforehand, before it got as immense as it did. So I knew it was real when we closed, when I was moving out my dorm room, and I knew that I wouldn't be returning for that semester or at all as an undergraduate student.
Okay, what about you, Patrick?
So for myself, I think it was like whenever we had like an emergency task force meeting. So I believe it was like March 11th. We all were called into the administration building to have an emergency meeting. And the next day, we actually was going to have a big event that all the students we were excited about, which was Class of the Classes. And so the chancellor and the vice chancellor, Dr. Williams, at the time, they both declared that we have to postpone or possibly cancel that event. So once I knew that happened, because we had worked so hard and we was working hand in hand with our administration to have this event. And so once I knew that they wanted to cancel it because of the safety of our students and our campus, I then knew that it was real.
Something was changing, something was brewing. What about you up there in Fisk?
I think I knew when our teachers started training for online courses. Our school prides itself on like our small ratio of teachers to students. So for us to even train every single professor to have online, classes throughout the rest of the school year, I was like, uh-oh, it's getting real. And also there was some schools around the area that were also closing, but we typically don't base what Fisk does on the other schools because a lot of them are PWI. So Yeah, we separate
Right.
ourselves from them, but when you start to see like Vanderbilt closing and people are moving out and getting storage units, it's like, uh-oh, it's about time. So we need to start preparing ourselves.
Yeah.
All right. What about you, Mr. Rogers?
Well, so we were at the time that we heard about it. It was like we heard one case was in New Orleans, and I thought it was like a joke or something. I was like, I don't.
Yeah.
It felt so far removed, but I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Science, so we were getting ready to have our week coming up, and they started canceling our. Okay, all right, cool.
Oh boy.
Had
You
something in my eye.
started it, Traylon. You started it. Your
Good.
fault.
Okay, good. So they started canceling our week, and we were like upset, and so we're like, what's going on? And I got to one of my classes, and our professor was like, the faculty senate was having a meeting. And that's when I started to realize, like, okay, so I went to Dr. Kimbrough. He and I are really close, and I sent him a text message asking where we're going to close. And he's like, no, it'll all, we're not going to close. We're just going to let everybody else close, and we'll just stick it out and see how long we can go. And then like 2 or 3 days later, they say that we start to move, we're going to move online, but people still have the option to stay on campus. And me personally, I was just going to wait until the end of the semester, but I heard that they were closing the Texas and Louisiana border. I mean, there were just so many things that were happening.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized it was time to go. And the students felt that I think we did a better job of keeping students informed than most other universities, because some universities gave their students, told them on Tuesday and made them leave by Friday.
Sure.
And Dillard didn't make people leave until I guess last week that had to stay.
Yeah. So where are you all now? That's what I'm curious about. So you're at home. I mean, just quick shout out to where you are located in the world today. So Ms. Cooper, where are you?
I'm in Little Elm, Texas.
Oh, Little Elm, Texas. Okay. Okay.
I'm still in Nashville.
Okay.
So I'm still home in New Orleans.
And I'm back at home in Dallas.
Okay.
So let me ask you this. How was that communication with the administration? Like, I know you've said that you've gotten information from them, but being the chief cheerleader for the students, the chief advocate for the students, the SGA folk, the folk who have connection with the president, we know that when things happen on campus, rumor can take a whole different flavor for what the truth actually is. And unfortunately, you have the job of standing between the administration and your peers. So you're, in a really, really peculiar place. How did you manage the information that you got while making sure that the expectations and the communications of your fellow students was met? How did you guys manage that? I want to ask that question to Sydney and Mr. Rogers.
So our administration, in my opinion, have been planning for this since the moment that they heard about it. So before any schools closed or any extreme measures were taken, they had already created a task force. Now, myself and my vice president were on that task force, and it's funny to see the two sides, because we have to have confidentiality between what we're told from the administration and what we can, tell the students at that time. And one of the things that I had to stress was to the students, make sure that the information that you're going by comes from a fisc.edu email from one of our administrators. Rumors can really tear down the whole school year, if you ask me. So the biggest thing that I had to do was make sure that the students were listening to official news and not just news from other students or professors.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
I think unlike a lot of schools, I wasn't a part of our task force. I just asked Dr. Kimbrough the other day if we had one. He says we're creating one this upcoming week. So I usually don't. I just try to stay in my specific lane when it comes to those types of things. So I think to be able to be on the task force will be great. But for me, the biggest focus at the time was to make sure that the students were heard no matter what. And so I think that if I had been on the task force, I would have been hesitant to speak about what they actually thought. So I was able to get a lot more accomplished because it was kind of a by any means necessary mindset that this is going to happen and I'm going to speak about what they want. And sometimes I didn't agree. Xavier University had the pass-fail option come out way before we did. So a lot of the students were like, well, we see what Xavier has. We want that also. And then I think it was Wiley. I'm not sure who had the, was it the Universal Pass? Somebody in East Texas had the Universal Pass. Okay, right.
Well, it's only one school that had that. So
right. Okay. And so then they wanted that after I'd already petitioned and we get the pass or fail. So I'm like, okay, it's something we have to give. Something has to give. We can't keep talking about everything. Yeah. They wanted a grace period in between them traveling from home to the next week for classes. We were able to get that successfully. And then they also wanted refunds for their housing, as well as a credit or refunds for or prorate for their housing for the next year. So I was able to advocate for those things, but I just kind of had to realize that I was going to have to do it regardless. So whether it was a risk to my relationship with the administration or not, it was something I had to take, a risk that I was willing to take because that's what the student body wanted. And so I think our university did a good job when it comes to that stuff, but advocating for the students, no matter what was really showed during this process, because I've advocated for several things, but those were sort of things that are gimmies. But in this case, some of them weren't. And so I think the students ultimately were satisfied with what happened at the end. But I think as the summer starts to come to an end, we're going to have to fight again I'm going to have to fight again for some of the things that we want to see in the fall, whether I agree with them or not.
Angelique, you and Patrick are free to add anything to this question if you like.
Yeah, and one thing I want Patrick to add as well is I think the 3 campuses, Wiley, Fisk, and Dillard, closed the dorms at some point. But Southern University at New Orleans, we are still open and we still have students. So what was that experience like, I guess, for you, Patrick, as you're talking about that, about being on campus during the midst of a pandemic, and how you thought that, that experience changed, your perspective about, safety or whatever, just your initial thoughts. I'm curious to know.
Yeah. So as it relates to housing, what we did was once we got the information from administration, we worked directly with Dr. Williams and the chancellor, so we can get all detailed on information out to the student body on one accord. So once I got all the information I needed, I then had a meeting with my SGA staff so we can know what would best fit the students that are still in housing that had nowhere to go at that time, and how could we accommodate them while they're actually there. So what we did was the queen, shout out to her, the 68th Miss Suno, Taja Greenup. What she did was her and my vice president, Jamal Williams, they got together and did care packages and hygiene packages. So they provided them with temporary, well, let's not say temporary, but
temporary is good.
Kind of like
essential
meal.
Some essential.
Yeah, essential. Yeah,
because everything
essential meal packages.
Yeah, because we were in hunker down mode. So we were concerned with, things being on the shelves, and if students could get to from the dorms to, well, we have resident apartments. I'm sorry, I keep calling them dorms, but from the apartments to the, Walmart or whatever to get things. So you guys were trying to help students hunker down.
Yeah, and so with that in place, what we did was we also, in addition to that, we provided transportation from the apartments to the local shopping centers, like the grocery stores, to have those students that did have funding in place to go ahead and get those essential needs that they had to bring back to the apartments. And also what we did was we fought and we communicated with administration, our vice chancellor, to see if there was an option to allow those students that had nowhere to go to remain in housing. After meeting numerous of times, maybe once, twice, 3 times, we finally got that answer. Dr. Williams confirmed that they can stay in housing under certain guidelines and procedures, a policy, so to say. And once that information was put out, the students that were left in housing were very pleased. And that's all I care about. Once the students are pleased, I'm out of the way. So, yeah.
Angelique?
Yes, I think in hindsight, I really admire proactiveness that Wiley College had on behalf of serving the students, especially when you hear the stories of other institutions and SGA presidents. President Felton himself actually drove students to the airport, paid money out of his pocket to assist students with returning home before we knew that we would be receiving any CARES Act relief fund, as well as being a listening ear and allowing students to talk about, the ways in which they were feeling. And then we have our Dr. Lundy, who is over our health and wellness, and we're still able to do virtual sessions with her and talk about some of the traumas that we've faced due to COVID-19. And so I think overall, Wiley was definitely proactive on assisting students and ensuring that students had the best opportunity possible to still succeed throughout the remainder of the semester.
You want to talk, Angelique, because this is a pretty cool time about, it's not necessarily friction, but your relationship with your president and how you communicate up to COVID and even through COVID, how we communicated with each other, and how did that work out for you, and how did that feel for you?
Definitely, I had to get out of my comfort zone with communicating. I realized that being timid would not get you far, and I also knew the type of person that you are, and you always want a game plan or what's the end goal, and not to come to you without an agenda or without a plan in a way to execute it. So our relationship leading up to COVID-19 was pretty copacetic, but afterwards, I definitely say it was still good. It just, I had to be, like Traylon said, I had to be the person to advocate on behalf of the students, regardless of whether I was standing alone or standing with the Army.
So Angelique was really the architect of the fund, and she will recall this when we delivered the news that there would not be a refund, so to speak, because that was the first question when we had our family day, and that the chapel was the absolute most packed I've ever seen it, and everybody was there, and it was a tense moment. But we have a really special student in our family who I think asked a question and made things really light for everyone else. It lightened up the mood, but the still overarching question was, would there be refunds? And Angelique knew, my response then was no, none whatsoever. But Angelique knew that diplomacy does not stop with no. And we had sidebar conversations, and it ended with us prorating what was left from the balance. And it was only right, but at that time I had to say no because I wasn't expecting that question, and I didn't want to say yes and it cost the institution money that we didn't have. And so I think, Angelique, and listening to you other SGA presidents, it sounds like your campuses were really blessed to have your leadership and the advocacy, because yes, I can tell you as a president, I've had some SGA presidents who don't go hard in the paint for the student body. And so it's refreshing to hear this cadre of leaders here that really understand that you can go hard in the paint and you can actually also be diplomatic in doing that. And both are necessary when you're trying to advocate. So I just wanted to uplift that, Angelique. I'm sorry if I put you on the spot, but just wanted to uplift.
It's okay.
Well, she can handle it.
She definitely can. She definitely can.
Well, I want to pivot a bit just with the overarching global pandemic. And, there were so many guidelines and things that happened, and, thinking about washing your hands and staying safe and socially distancing, and, just the scary part of COVID-19 and coronavirus and what this means for your health and wellness. And I'm going to toss this to you, Patrick, to talk a little bit about and just share your experience with how you navigated the entire global pandemic. And then we're going to go around and hear from all of you.
Yeah, sure. You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Got you.
So things were a little different on my end. So March 9th is when we began to plan on COVID-19 task force committee. March 10th, I took sick. So out of nowhere, I was like drained. I was in meetings all day March 9th. I was in meetings all day March 10th. And I had my executive assistant, who's actually in terms the chief observer of our newspaper here on campus. She was actually right on side of me throughout the whole process. So I think it was a Wednesday, right? Yeah. So it was Wednesday. I text her. I said, you know what, Francis, I can't make it. And I say something about my body feels totally like this is not normal. So I stayed home. She then filled in my seat at the task force meetings throughout the remainder of the week, the next week coming in. And remember, all these days I'm homesick. I'm thinking that because I usually have bad sinus infections around this time of the year, right? So I'm thinking that's normal. I'm thinking that this is what happened. I'm having another sinus infection. So I was sick over 8 days, and I'm like, okay, something is not right. And when I say ill, I mean everything upper respiratory. No taste, no smell, completely no energy, just
Wow.
drained. So I decided to go over to the ER. I communicated with my staff. I said, hey, I need you guys to step up. I don't know what's going on, but I'm very weak. I'm drained. I don't have taste. I don't have smell. And remember, this is all coming about right now. So I'm not thinking that I have COVID-19. I'm thinking another sinus infection, but it's pretty bad. So I go over to the ER. I think it's like March 20th by now or something like that. So I go over to the ER and I explain to them, hey, something is not right. I feel my taste is nasty. I have a nasty taste in my mouth. I can barely smell, and it feels like, you know, like I have no energy for anything. So they took the flu test. The flu test came back negative. They took so many different type of blood work. Everything came back benign and normal. So they went over to this and they sent me to the station and said, hey, you have to get tested for COVID-19. I instantly freak out right there because what we're hearing about is people are dying from this. So I instantly freak out. So once I get the COVID-19 test, they tell me to stay home 14 days and self quarantine. So and they tell me to take sinus medication. So I go over to the CVS pharmacy, I grab that, and I begin to self medicate myself with maybe one pill per day because I'm not a person that takes medication at all. So I'm totally against the medication and everything. So I take the medication. I begin to feel better. I don't have my results because remember, this is the beginning of everything happening. So I
Mhm.
don't have my results. It took up to 2 weeks for my results to come in. Once my results came back in, I was already fine. I'm back to normal. I've shaken back. But throughout this whole process, I was still advocating for my student body. From my bed, I was making sure that I answered emails. I made sure, and by this time, we had already went to remote virtual meeting sessions. So I made sure that I was present. I didn't have my video on, but I just made sure that I was present. And on top of that, I had my assistant available right at my side. So I was, honored and appreciative of that notion from her. So with that being said, it's serious. It was so serious to where my test results came back positive. When I came back positive, I was just like all shocked. I was just in a state of just
Wow.
confused with myself because I was just like,
Wow.
where did I get this from? Like, what happened?
Patrick, you didn't give your assistant the damn COVID, did you?
Oh no. What happened is whenever
He did all the right things. I'm
I'm
telling you.
just, she was there and helping him and everything. I'm just saying,
no.
okay,
As a
all
matter of
right,
fact, my
all right,
sister, I live with my sister
okay,
and some of my family members, and none of them tested positive. It was just
awesome.
myself. So I was so confused as to how I even contracted the
Well,
virus from the
Right.
beginning.
well,
So
we're happy that you are
yeah,
well. My
yeah,
dad had
Yes.
no idea
Good.
that you were a COVID survivor.
yeah,
Mr.
yeah,
Rogers,
yeah.
what do you have to add about the conversation between you and advocating for your institution and your relationship with Dr. Kimbrough and how you managed through that?
Yeah, well, it was really stressful because most of my team from last year were graduating. They were graduating seniors, so they had kind of checked. They usually check out after we do elections, and so they were already checked out. So
By yourself?
yeah, it was just me, and
Solo.
so I was getting emails from the director of communications, the provost, the president, the vice president for student success. So everybody was coming to me to send information to the students. And I mean, I tapped I got in tune with Twitter about 2 months before Corona. So I was like, okay, this is like the most effective platform. So I do I like create threads to send out the information. And so I've been finding that effective versus sending emails. Like I used to write letters and long letters and send the emails. Nobody would read them and they'd come back next week and say, did you do X, Y, Z? And I'm like,
It was in the
so,
letter.
right. And they didn't look at it. So I decided to do Twitter threads. So it was kind of stressful. Everybody sending their stuff to me. And I'm studying for the LSAT currently. I take it next month. So I was
Oh, wow.
trying to focus on the LSAT as well as making sure that their concerns were met while also moving out myself. And so having everybody come to me was it was kind of stressful because they wouldn't let my new administration come on yet because we hadn't done the transition. So it was really just me in limbo. I couldn't work with the new people, but the old people weren't responding. So I was just in limbo. And Dr. Kimbrough, he would send me updates. And so that was probably the most effective thing to get updates from those people. Mm-hmm. And then we also did a Zoom at 11 o'clock to answer everybody's questions. The provost did that, and the registrar was on the call, and everybody who was essentially the head of the deans of the different colleges. So it was easy in that sense. But once we got off the call, they would still ask 1,000,001 more questions, and then I have to go back. But it hasn't stopped just yet because we're still getting grades. But I have a feeling it'll die down soon, but pick back up and close to July and August.
So my question is to the entire group. We know that, from all of the reports from the CDC, from the businesses, our mayors, our governors in our respective states, that we are going into a new world. And the HBCU, as I'm sure, if I asked all of you why you chose to go to your respective institution, part of it is because HBCUs have this secret sauce that the other schools don't know anything about, that make us special and attract top talent like yourselves to these institutions. So as we go into fall, what would be some of your expectations for what campus will look like? Are you leery about going into a fall semester just like we were, full throttle, everybody, back 100%? Or would you embrace a, reduced, online learning? I know some students are saying, hey, I'm not coming back if we're going to be online. I just not going to do it. What are some of your thoughts about your expectations? Also balancing the reality of what, Dr. Fauci on CNN and, your governors and the mayors and officials are saying, realistically, what are your expectations for fall?
I'll go ahead and start on this one. I will say that I would prefer that we have school as normal, but I feel like it's unrealistic at this time based on the way that the country is starting to reopen and how the numbers are continuing to rise, and we're expecting a plateau, but it's not happening when we want it. So for the next school year, I hope that it goes back to normal, but my administration has multiple plans of action for if we can, or if our governor says that we can't. So I feel like our school year will be a good school year, but we won't have the same Fisk experience if we're not necessarily on campus. I feel like the university's goal is to have everybody on campus, but from a Sydney SGA president standpoint, I don't think it's realistic at this point.
So Sydney, are you, school opens back up, Fisk says, hey, come on back, let's do it. We're full throttle. You're going to live on campus. You're going to be in a room with 4 people. What is Sydney going to do?
Sydney probably would not go back to school with the same accommodations that we have now. I feel like it would have to be something different, maybe less people to the dorm rooms per, room, or
Classroom space
yeah,
and
different times for the calf. It's really going to have to be a big adjustment to fit all the needs of the different students and accommodate everybody with this new virus.
gotcha. What about you, Traylon?
Yeah, I think that we want to go back as normal, but I don't think that's realistic. I think we can go on campus. I just think a lot of things have to be put in place. Like maybe we can do some hybrid courses. We definitely need to wear masks. We can limit the amount of people per classroom because Dillard has a number of different spaces that we can use for classrooms. And we don't have large classes anyway. And for the larger classes, we already talked about using the chapel or using some of our auditoriums to have those classes. So I think the portion of as class will be able to handle normally, but I think the key things that we have like homecoming, probate, just the normal staples of an HBCU, I think we won't get to have in this fall semester. And I think it's important that we don't have them for the safety of everybody around us, just because, I mean, we would rather risk a semester of fun for the livelihood and the safety of everybody surrounding us. So I think that's just one thing that if the student body does push for that, that's something I can't get behind, because I just think we have to look at it from a bigger picture, the bigger picture and what it means to for the health and safety of everybody in the community, not only at Dillard but in the New Orleans community. And I think that we are looking forward to a fall semester in person. But if we don't, I think a lot of students will be hurt and some won't even return. But I think I would prefer to have a modified in-person semester versus having a completely online semester.
Yeah. Okay. Angelique and Patrick.
I definitely think that we would love to return back on campus. COVID-19, as well as being in quarantine, has taught me a lot about innovation and being able to adapt to the environments that we're in. So I think what we deemed as normal starting out has definitely changed as we approach different situations and understanding how to handle the student body, how to handle the institution. So I believe that even if we were not to return on campus, we would still figure out a way to have that same interactivity that we have with the students, still figuring out a way to produce and encourage people to still attend college. I think being online or semi-online shouldn't deter you, but it definitely should create a certain type of awareness that you have with being around and enjoying your college experience.
Yeah. Yeah, Patrick, I know I definitely want you to answer, but especially with you and Traylon being in New Orleans, and we're all in New Orleans and we're in a hotbed environment. So, taking that into account, being in one of the most affected areas, what would be your expectations and realistically for fall and what it would look like for students?
So for me, I believe that, it'll be pretty much a modified fall semester, simply because what we hear from CDC, like there may be a second round of COVID-19 or something like that. So I know from, based off of the information I received from the task force meetings and the committees that I'm on, we're not looking to actually bring our students fully back on campus because of that reason. And I feel that that's the most safest, possible reasoning behind everything. Though I'm an on-campus person, I feel like I comprehend and grasp the information that my professors are giving to me better in class setting. But however, I feel that safety is the first priority in this situation, and I'm definitely looking forward to a more modified fall semesters. However, if we were to come back to campus in the fall semester with the additional buildings we have on campus, I somehow don't worry because I know that the class sizes will be limited. But in addition to that, I still have that thought in the back of my head when I was sick, and I wouldn't want any of the other students or faculty and staff to be in that position. So it's just kind of, realistically and, what would be best for us all.
This is again a glimpse into why you are leading your campus.
Yeah.
individual campuses. I mean, the resolve and the maturity that you're exhibiting here is refreshing. And let me
It
tell you
really,
why. I think, as a president, we know that safety is what matters most. And it may put us in a predicament where it doesn't feel good, right? And that doesn't feel good means taking away the one thing that makes us what we are, and that is that in person experience. However, I would take all the name callings, the beatings on Twitter every day to save one life, period. And I think when we think about our institutions as well, we don't know what the modifications and the recommendations are going to be from the CDC. And so the spacing requirements may put a lot of us out of business with respects to being able to accommodate everyone. And so those are some of the things that when you talk to your colleagues, we want to make sure that they have all the information is that we're responding to this global pandemic. And we're now not necessarily in control. It really comes down to what the CDC, our state and local government dictates we do in order to be safe.
yeah.
I guess my question that I have is really centered around how you communicate to your peers. One, I know that our students did not want to leave. So when I'm in circles and people are talking about students aren't coming back, well, your students are different from mine because mine didn't want to leave. So I know they're coming back. And this is a global pandemic. It's not like Wiley did something to our students. Everybody has been impacted. So it's not like you're going to leave here and I'm mad with what you did, so I'm going over here. No, they're closed too. Well, how are you dealing with the sentiment from the students about whether or not they have angst about going back, or if like what is the mood of your colleagues? Is everybody ready to come back? Like what's going on with your colleagues? How are you dealing with them and helping them to understand that it's a much bigger picture than just flipping the switch back on? And the sentiment. What's the pervasive sentiment with your friends? You could start, Angelique.
Okay. I definitely know that the students are eager to return back to Wiley. We have something called Wiley Twitter, and if you're ever on Twitter, and it's just a whole news feed full of Wiley students, and it gets intense. But they're definitely ready to come back. I know we missed the campus. Wiley has been a home, well, is a home to many of us, and it definitely sucks being away from a place that has helped cultivate you as a leader, that has helped you, become a better person and grow spiritually. And so a lot of different aspects of who we are is tied into Wiley, and I think students are definitely ready to return.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sydney?
Yeah, I would agree with Angelique. Our students are definitely eager to have our interaction that we had before we left. I will say that when we were coming into this issue, our class of freshmen is very ambitious. So when they have an opinion, they all stick together and they force their opinion on you. And one of the things that they really wanted was online classes. But their idea of online classes was, oh, we're going to switch to online and everybody's going to continue to stay on campus.
Oh.
Little did they know, because they're freshmen, right? Little did they know that everyone was going to have to go back home.
You have to go to the house.
Right. So your online classes are going to be with mom in the background. But one thing that I will say is that we are all eager to see what's going to happen. But I know for a fact that our fifth students are ready to be back with each other. We definitely miss each other, and we're excited to get back on campus.
So, okay, one thing that we've been talking about with some of the HBCU presidents is the academic space and what academics will look like in the future. Let me just preface all of this by saying we have a clue, okay? We really don't know, but the conversations are happening, right? So with that, we've talked about majors and different, transitions that universities may have to make to ensure that we are addressing the workforce needs for students like yourselves and incoming students, that we are shifting our paradigm of thinking that we may not just always offer English as a major, but we may offer more programs in healthcare and technology because of this automatic shift in our new normal with the new jobs and the economy. Have you all put any thought into what a academic offering may look like and may attract students, high achieving, high performing students that are interested in HBCUs, and what some of those programs are that are out there that you feel would, really answer the question of the workforce needs in America?
I think that a lot of the things that are available now have always been available. I think one of the things that I would like to see moving forward is some consortiums with other universities, and I think that they have some great programs and classes that we can benefit from. So rather than reinventing the wheel and hiring new professors and going through that whole process of searching, we can create some consortiums. And since the classrooms are already going, if we have to go online, they will already be online. So we can just utilize those courses. But then we also have to have the conversation of how we will accept those credits coming in for students who may be transferred. So I know it's a question larger than just simply saying, let's create a consortium or start a consortium. But I think in perfect circumstances, I think that would be great.
Yeah,
I love that.
You're spot on, though. You're spot on.
Classes down the street from you. What about you, Patrick?
So for me, I think the biggest part is keeping it more as traditional as possible when it comes down to the majors or the school of study that you choose interest in. So I know at SUNO, what we're doing, what the administration is trying to do is have all of our courses available online for the fall semester, just for a backup plan if we cannot come back to campus.
Right.
And I think that keeping it that way, it actually gives students a reason to want to come back to campus once campus does open up, or even it gives a student the opportunity or the thought to, hey, well, my course is available online, so now I'm going to take it. Like as far as for summer semester, majority of the courses for upperclassmen are not offered, but I've been influencing the students to, hey, if you can't take summer classes, just prepare for fall. Like fall is going to be the exact same that we just got for spring semester. So if you can get through the spring semester, you can well enough get through a fall semester of online courses with the courses, under the curriculum that you are intending to graduate under.
Yeah. Sydney, what about you? Any thoughts on any new programs or programs that you think would attract students coming to the institution?
Right. When I was graduating from high school in 2016, everybody was talking about STEM, STEM, STEM. So when you think about STEM, you go ahead and think about the healthcare portion of it with the biology and chemistry and all that. But we also need to focus on the technology because we're looking now and we're having a whole meeting through our computers, right? So it's extremely important.
Live on YouTube right now.
It's extremely important that we focus on the technology portion, not only for our students, but also for the professors, so that we have efficient classrooms through technology. But
Sure.
One other thing that I wanted to add is that we can't forget about the courses that it's almost necessary to be on campus. I know our Fifth Jubilee singers, they have like end of the semester recitals that they have to do, and all those things are pretty difficult to do when you have to do it on Facebook Live or you have to do it on Zoom. So I feel like as much as we pay attention to the technology in STEM, we also have to focus on those majors that can't necessarily have effective classrooms through their computers.
I just love this brilliance. I do. I'm not. I don't want to come off as patronizing or shocked, because I know what I hate when someone says to me, "You're so articulate." You're so
Like,
smart and you're so
what
bright.
else do you yeah, what else do
Yeah,
you
no,
expect?
but I mean, I think it's because I know their presidents and I know how they talk about them, and I
Yeah.
think that is what it is, and also like it reaffirms the notion that there's a utopia at our HBCUs, and they are rich and replete with excellence, not Black excellence, not just excellence, period, and it's just wonderful. And I'm probably missing students on campus too. So I'm probably a
No,
little
I know.
concerned about that. Yeah.
This was only for me to get to see Patrick again. That was the only reason.
Uh,
No, I'm just kidding. No, but I have two questions, President Felton. I want them to do me a huge favor, and I know this will be easy for them, but I want there's so many students out there trying to make a decision, so many freshmen, well, seniors that are in high school that are trying to make a decision about what to do. And
here we
guys,
go.
sit in the seats of, you're the voice. You are the voice of your institution, and you're the voice right now for all HBCUs. And so, and I know that there has been an increase. Last fall was a high increase of students choosing Black colleges. And so, what can you say in 30 seconds, or less about choosing an HBCU and why, especially during these times? And I'm going to transition from COVID, but we just had another lynching, if you will, of an unarmed Black man just recently. There's so many things happening in America now, but that makes our institutions a safe space in a way. But what would you say to a senior in high school that's watching this and watching you and looking up to you and following you on the Twitter and the Instagram and the Snapchat and following your TikToks? Hey, so what would you say to them about choosing an HBCU and encouraging them to choose an HBCU? And we'll start with Dillard.
I was hoping that I didn't get caught for this one. I don't know what to say to be. I think that I think it's very challenging because you want to attract as many people as possible for a number of reasons, just for the environment, for the opportunity to have in a higher education, and then for funding for the university. But I think that some people won't be successful. Well, I know for a fact some people won't be successful online, no matter how easy we make it, or how simple it is, for the simple fact that they might not have the resources to take it online. Because I know Spectrum and AT&T, and they were giving out free Wi-Fi, and then some people let you use laptops. That's only going to last for so long. And I think if we do this again in the fall semester, we're going to have a different focus. And I think that some people benefit from that one-on-one relationship and that personal interaction with the professors. So I'm just kind of at a loss for words of what to say, because I think that there is definitely value in going to getting pursuing a bachelor's degree or taking the next step to educating yourself. But I think that there's some merit to take a moment and pause and evaluate all of the key factors that play into higher education. Not just learning something, but also touching, feeling, and understanding. Because not only do you come out of higher education with a deeper knowledge in a book sense, but also you come out a better person because you've gone through things, you've experienced struggles and some downsides to things that you thought were great. So I just don't know what to say, to be honest.
Yeah. Patrick, what would you say to some of those students out there that are deciding if they're going to you or not?
So my response stays the same. If you're looking for a culture of belonging, I think that you should come to HBCU. If you feel where you're involved and you're always included, HBCU would be the best choice to come to college. I've been to a PWI, and not to shun or shade a PWI or anything, I personally didn't like the experience at a PWI. HBCUs are more welcoming. You can actually relate to your peers more. There's more hands-on. There's more caring let's see, role models on campus. And they actually, you know, I think they have a sense of genuineness care for you as opposed to at a PWI. So even though we're going through this crisis and even though we're going through this new norm and this major change and, you know, going from in-class settings to online classes, you still can be that HBCU star that you're seeking to be. Because for ourselves at Suno, we're still communicating with our mentors. We're still communicating with our professors. Like, I have a professor that's actually like one of my mentors. He doesn't know that, but you know, he's still a veteran. And at a PWI, I didn't get that. So I just love the joy, the tradition, the seasoning, all that's offered at a HBCU. I really appreciate it. And if you're a senior in high school and you're thinking about, hey, what do I do? Should I go here? Should I go there? Go with where you feel that you'll be welcomed, because that's most important. You can't complete a 4-year degree and you feel just by yourself. You need to, you know, make friends, colleagues, you know, thank people of interest in your degree or the career that you're seeking to go into. Make those friends, because those become long-term friends. So HBCU would definitely give you that involvement and that welcoming spirit that you need on a campus community.
Yeah.
Angelique, what about you?
I would definitely say HBCUs are incubators for leaders, for advocates, for scholars. And they have a special, like you said, a special sauce that you don't know you need until you get it, and then you can't get enough. HBC, where the world would deem you inadequate, and HBCU will welcome you with open arms, right? And I believe that for anyone, any person, especially at Wiley College, we definitely have such a diverse student body, and it is extremely accepting. We're definitely a big family, so I would never discourage or not encourage someone to attend the HBCU. I was actually in a Facebook group that one of my high school teachers added me in, adopt a senior, and I saw everybody getting adopted. And I'm like, well, I can't offer you money right now, but I can, you know, introduce you to my HBCU, which changed my life. And so I think that's priceless, and that's things that money can't buy. And
Yes.
so, yeah, I definitely encourage, I definitely would encourage any senior out there right now that is unsure about their next steps, what they want to do with their life. HBCU would definitely help cultivate you into the person that you're looking to become, and even into a person that you didn't know that you needed to be. So go HBCU.
Wow.
Definitely.
Sydney, what you think?
Piggyback off what they all said, I'm going to say, just a reminder to the seniors, you have the rest of your life to be a minority. So take these next 4 years as an opportunity to be welcomed and to be loved. Like when I describe Fisk, the first word I would use is love, just because if I miss a class, I know Patricia McCarroll, that's one of our biology teachers. Next time I see her, I know for a fact that she's going to call me out. And that's not out of being harsh. That's just because of the love that Fisk has for its students. And I know all HBCUs have that sense of just love and compassion that you can feel on the campus. And another thing that I want to say is this is not going to last forever. So don't go to a PWI or don't go to a community college down the street just because you think, oh, COVID is changing my life for the rest of, eternity. No, we will be back on campus eventually. So
That's right.
Go ahead and go to the university that you intended to go to. Hopefully it's an HBCU, because we're going to be back, regardless of whether we're back in the fall or in the spring or even 2021. We're going to be back. So just remember that.
We come back bad, right? We coming back hard. The bounce back is going to be, the shake is going to be dope.
We never left.
Say that again one more time, Angelique.
I said, we never left.
Boom.
Hey. I love it. So, okay, I have to know this, and I know we got to go, and Dr. Phillips is going to kill me, but I have to know, what have you been doing for fun? I know you've been trying to do schoolwork. The teachers been on you guys. Your presidents and your vice presidents have been blowing your phone up. The students are saying, well, when are we coming back? And what about our money? And can we get our CARES relief? I mean, what's going on? But what are you doing for fun? but I know you better be socially distancing, but what else besides that are you doing for fun?
So for me, basically, I'm pretty much finding things inside to do. I get on Zoom and we have like Zoom parties. We get on
Oh,
FaceTime. We have like FaceTime parties. I do TikToks. I have fun on Snapchat. You know, kind of use
doing
social media to communicate with others. Also, like I go ride, I run, I exercise, and it's so strange that now more than ever, exercising is becoming fun to me. So it's
Yeah.
like I have nothing else to do, so I'll go take a long run. Long runs actually help with processing thoughts in my mind and
Yes,
just
it
taking
does.
away toxic thoughts or just getting caught up into sometimes because social media can put out the bad image of things and the wrong news and
yes.
false news. So sometimes you have to, read for yourself and then determine what is real and what is false. So that's where I begin to exercise and run, to just kind of keep myself at a happy place. But that's basically what I do. And I enjoy sitting in front of my door now. Like I'll just get my music, I'll sit in front of my door, I'll be on Snapchat and have a party.
Okay.
Mr.
Okay.
Rogers,
What
what
are you
about you,
doing?
brother?
Yeah.
I think for me, fun is at a minimum right now because, like I said, I'm studying for the LSAT and I have the test
Oh,
next month, so it's crunch time for me. But
Well,
I do.
actually, you're having fun writing practice essays for the LSAT, right? Yeah,
right.
you better be doing that. And some of those, what do they call them? They may be different now, but when I took the LSAT, it was the word problems, the word problems,
Yeah,
the
the
analytical
logic.
reasoning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The games are fun, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I just stop and watch a movie, or I've been watching this show on, I think it's Discovery, called Naked and Afraid. It's like really funny because like you see
What?
people.
Oh my God. I like that show. That is the craziest show to me. But okay, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
'cause
that is like,
it's like it's symbolic, sort of like they are down to the bare minimum and they have to make it. I mean, it's the story of what Black people are doing for forever, and you see like they put white people on show and they make money out of it. So it's like, um, so
That's
anyway,
true.
it's just fun to see them. I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to say that.
No,
I'm
you
sorry.
are a quintessential brother of Kappa Alpha Psi. You are a new to the core, my brother. You are brilliant. All of you are, but you just got a little
too
extra,
funny.
a
You said
little
that's
bit more.
like people been.
No, no, no.
Yeah,
Touche,
so
touche, Rogers,
that's
touche.
that's what I've been doing for fun. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What about the ladies?
I can go ahead and go. I know I've just been doing everything that I didn't have time to do. So when I was at Fisk, I actually played volleyball and basketball, and I was the SGA president. So my time was extremely limited. So I've been doing everything from painting to coloring books. Invest in an adult coloring book if you don't have one. It's very, very relaxing.
Oh, I think I might write
Yeah,
that
you
down.
should. Sometimes they're
Let me do
expensive.
that down.
They're called adult coloring books. So they're a little more difficult than the ones the kids have, but it's really relaxing. Another thing I do is watch comedy. I never knew how funny Bernie Mac was until
Oh
I
my
started watching
goodness.
these
Yeah, the legend.
on Netflix.
A
And the
legend.
last thing is I've been watching The Last Dance, like
Oh, I love that.
the documentary about Michael Jordan and his last
Jordan
season.
and the
Very well
I'm
edited.
obsessed with that too. We'll have to text on that, Sydney.
Sure.
I am completely obsessed. I haven't seen this week's, but I cannot wait. I'm obsessed. I don't want it to end.
Okay, yeah, that's exactly how I feel. So just indulging in things I didn't have a chance to do before. That's what I've been doing for fun.
Nice.
Really?
Yes. As for me, I've been working on some graphic design. I do that on the side, just trying to get better. Been watching Little Fires Everywhere on Hulu, and I just watched Michelle Obama's documentary Becoming last night, and it was really good. She definitely inspired me. So I'm excited to hear them speak this weekend. So yeah, and
Yes.
creating music. So those are the things that I do.
Yeah,
Nice.
Angelique is an extraordinary vocalist. She is also a former member of, because you're never an ex-member of the a cappella choir, the world famed a cappella choir here at Wiley College. Um, and and really a talented jewel. As we close, I want to say to each of you, it has been a phenomenal pleasure meeting you, and I am forcing myself onto you as a contact in your village. I hope I'm going to follow up with an email with my contact information, and I hope that if
Out
there's
mine too.
I hope if there's anything that I can help you with along your journey, if any way that I can be of assistance. I know you have many folks in your villages, and I yet profess to be just another one. I do want you to know, for those of you who are graduating, that you probably will have the most star-studded commencement
Ever.
at the National HBCU Commencement Day ever. And
Ever.
here's the beauty of this. Paul Quinn College president, Dr. Michael Sorrell, was riding on his bicycle and said, I think our kids deserve something amazing. Called a couple of people, and before you know it, JP Morgan Chase, UNCF, Howard, all these institutions, Essence, everybody was on board,
Unite
and it's
the
brilliant.
world.
And the last person to come on board was the President Barack Obama, right? And so that weekend, I think it's the 16th,
16th.
the 16th. I'm really happy that you guys will get an opportunity to do that, to be around Kevin Hart, not around him, but you know,
Yes, Sydney, you'd like to be around Kevin Hart. Tell some
I mean,
jokes.
yeah, that would probably be real good for you. But Kevin Hart, Melody Hobson, who is probably one of the most
Brilliant. Brilliant.
brilliant financiers and investors, D Nice, Omari, uh, what do they call him? What's his real name? I know his mama called him Omari, but we call him Ghost,
Ghost.
right?
Go. Yeah.
Ghost is going to be up on that piece. Kevin Hart, Nas, and ASAP Ferg. I think it's just going to be amazing. I hope that you all will take advantage of the weekend. And the last thing I want to say to you is, I thank you for being fearless leaders for your colleagues and your peers, and I hope that you stay firm and stay true to the missions of your individual institutions, but also to the individuality that those institutions have poured into you, to understand that there is where all the gold is. When you find out who you are authentically, and you are unapologetic about that, I think real leadership happens, real wealth happens, real creativity happens. That's where the sweet spot is. And I'm telling you, you four give great spotlights and commercials for your institutions, and we're just so happy to have had you here. So I'm from the bottom of my heart, I'm really happy with you beautiful Black minds, and what you're about to do and your imprint on the world.
Yes. Thank you guys so much again for being with us today. And again, on behalf of the Higher Education Leadership Foundation and its founders, Dr. Herman Felton, the president of Wiley, Dr. Alfred Anthony Pinkard, the president of Wilberforce, Mr. Gregory Dees over there at Wiley College, and myself, Melva Williams, Southern University. We thank you. We love you. We appreciate you. Yeah. And again, if you need us in any capacity, we are here, and we got an army of people with us that will support you guys. So
sure do. Y'all need any help with anything, I'm serious. Make sure you leverage the contacts in your network. We call it curating that network. Parting shots, anybody, anything you want to say on your way out the door?
I just wanted to thank you all for the opportunity. And I also wanted to wish Traylon good luck on your LSAT. I know that's
Thank you.
I'd just like to say thank you.
Any final words?
Yeah, so I would like to say thank you, Dr. Williams and President Felton, for this opportunity. And, to the rest of you guys, it was amazing to meet you guys. Trellin, I've been met you, good luck with your LSAT. I know you'll do good. And just good luck with all of y'all endeavors and everything. So just don't feel like I'm a stranger. Reach out to me, hit me up. I like to communicate. So you guys just hit me up. We can basically talk about everything. We're sitting in the same seat right now. So it's a pleasure, and I'm just so grateful. Thank you all.
My man.
Thank you.
And thank you, President Felton, as well as Dr. Williams. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I enjoyed this conversation with you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I hope my university president was watching, so he already owes me a dinner, so maybe he'll
Come through, Dr. Kim, bro. And don't be
Kim.
hating because he's a noob either.
Got to
That's
pay the
great. And then just for the high school seniors, I didn't say this earlier, but since nobody else plugged in university, y'all should look at Common Dillard. But thanks, guys.
Okay, well, hey, wait a minute. We're gonna leave the floor open for everybody to plug their institutions. Now, you ain't getting off on that right there, my brother. Last plug for Fisk University.
Fisk University, if you're looking for small class sizes, great interaction on campus, and great athletics, please come to Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee.
Southern University at New Orleans.
If you're looking to gain a degree where it's welcoming and fun, come over to
That's Combi Southern, New Orleans style, right?
Southern New Orleans style. Yeah.
I think we saved the best for last.
Oh.
But if you're looking to be a part of the home of all things great, join Wiley College in the heart of East Texas.
Love it.
Right.
This is Four Thoughts of our founders. Want to thank our guests for being with us here today. I'm Herman Felton, and we were joined by Melva Williams and some phenomenal, bright minds from Dillard University, Fisk University, Wiley College, and Southern University at New Orleans. Want to thank you all for being here today. Wish you blessings upon blessings, and we hope that God keeps you in the very palm of his hands. Peace out, Boy and Girl Scouts.
It's peace up, 8 down.
Oh, peace up, 8 times? No. We'll holler.
Closing
Deuces.
music, right?
How about that? Deuces. Y'all be good.
You gotta dance out of here.
Okay, there we go. I'm gonna give y'all a little something. Or I could hit you with something that I don't have the rights to.
No.
We'll just do it this way. Be good, everybody.